So this is a quick demo of how PipeOps works. After signing up on PipeOps and completing the onboarding process, you get landed on this screen. So this is the screen where you get to choose, or do I want to deploy into PipeOps Kubernetes server, or I want to deploy into my own cloud provider. Deploying into your own cloud provider means you want to deploy into your AWS, your GCP, your Azure, and your Huawei cloud provider. All you just need to do on that route is just basically connect PipeOps to your cloud provider. But for this demo, we are focusing on the on PipeOps route. So what you just need to do is just click on PipeOps and you click on proceed. Here you get to see the various provider that we support for PipeOps, and also the region in which you want to create a server on for PipeOps. So what you just need to do, you need to just select the cloud provider and also the region. On your right, you have a monthly cost estimator. So you can just drag this to just see the estimated cost that you incur for the end of at the end of the month. At the end of the month, if you use the resources you've selected. So the way PipeOps works in a usage-based pricing model, whereby you just get to pay at the end of the billing cycle the resources you used for that month. So basically, these are the unit price for CPU per hour, the unit price for memory per hour, the unit price for storage per hour. You click on proceed and it takes you to where you make your payment. So the next thing for you to do is for you to connect your Git account. So PipeOps supports both GitHub, Bitbucket, and GitLab. So what I just need to do, I just need to just click on deploy from GitHub, and yeah, I've got my repo connected, and I click on proceed. So I need to click on GitHub, select the organization I want to deploy into and deploy from, and I get to see the list of repos that I have, and I click on that to see the list of branch that I can deploy from. But for this demo, I'll just deploy a template project that we have here. Click on PipeOps HTML. So I have two servers on this workspace, so I click on the server I want to deploy from. Yeah, you get to see your project summary. So the way PipeOps works is every server that is created on PipeOps is created, two environments are created by default on that server for you. So you get to select the environment you want to deploy from. For now, I'll leave it at production. Yeah, the resource for this project is defaultly set to 0.5 CPU, 512 memory. But you can as well change it to whichever resource you feel is okay for your project, and you click on proceed. Yeah, so this is your build settings page. So the way PipeOps works, PipeOps automatically read your project to determine what framework was used in building your project, and based off that, recommend a build method that work for framework. They add the environment variable. You can either add single variable. You can just do a bulk edit, basically copying your environment variables from your code editor and pasting it here. Yeah. So the next step is just clicking on deploy. Yeah. So now your project is currently being deployed, and the deployment passes through your commit stage, and your build stage, and your deploy stage. So yeah, your project is currently being deployed. Let's skip this and go to the project overview. Yeah. So this is your project overview. This is where you get to see all the information about your project. The project is currently still being deployed. So you get to see your resource, your history. These are first deployments. So it has only one item in the history for now. You get to see the metrics. Remember, during the course of deployment, we set a 0.5 MB CPU, 512 MB. So you can see this gauge here. This will start moving once we start using resources on this project. Show you the amount of resources that we're actually using for the project. So you get to see your runtime logs. So you get to see your runtime log. You can filter the period, favorite period as far back as 3 months. If your project has gone for the past 3 months, you can see the runtime logs on that. The next thing is the settings. This is where you change your project name. So PipeOps automatically gives a default deployment URL, for you to have access to your projects. But you can go as well as adding your own custom domain where you get to edit your environment variable, your build setting. If you decide to change the framework, basically this your build set end of things. Aside from this, the next thing is PipeOps give you access to the terminal for this project, so you can SSH into the terminal and do whatever you need to do. So aside that, you also have the action section where you can pause your project, you can roll back to previous deployments, and you can as well migrate your project. So you can either migrate your project from one server to another, or you can promote your project from one environment to another. That's all about the project end of things. If you click on view projects, it takes you to the deployment link, deployed project link. Yeah, that's it about projects. But aside projects, you can as well deploy add-ons on PipeOps. So I should just go to PipeOps. So PipeOps supports several add-ons, databases, even Strapi, WordPress. So you can deploy any of this on your server on PipeOps. So for this demo, let me just deploy a Strapi project. So you get to click on deploy. These are the estimated resources that Strapi will use. I configure my environment variable for Strapi. My server that I want to deploy into, the environment I want to deploy into, and I click on deploy. It's as simple as that. So my Strapi is currently being deployed into my server on PipeOps. If I want to view the logs, deployment log, I just click on this and I get to see my logs on deployment. So if I should click on skip, I get to see my add-ons overview. So yeah, I see it's just as similar as that of projects. Basically I see everything related to my deployed add-ons. So I also have access to terminal settings for my add-on, the runtime logs for my add-on events, metric as well. So that's it about add-ons. So basically you can deploy several add-ons. They're all listed here, databases and so on. So that's it about add-ons and projects.